Yeah, I am Jon Kosmoski, and what brought me here is I've done a couple of seminars at the school, and I've watched the progress that's going on here at Pulaski Training Center, and it's amazing. I think the training is exemplary. I mean, they've got really excellent people doing the teaching into aluminum welding, teach you how to lead, teach you some of the old crafts. If you're into restoring or building hot rods, or you like motorcycles, they got a motorcycle tech center here, diesel tech center, auto repair of all kinds, from mechanical, wiring, electrical issues, how to set up the computers and make them work on the new cars. If you're interested in automotive technology or motorcycles or just hot rods or anything like that, this is the place to come to learn how to do it, to be a trained professional, to get out in the world and do something that you love to do and make your living at it. It started with some of the old products that I used to work with, being dissatisfied with things, watching things fall apart. I remember Von Dutch saying, I got so discouraged with pinstriping because he was using short oil alkyds, and the gas would come out of the tank and it would wash the striping off. He said, and it would even eat into the old lacquers. He said he got discouraged by it. He sent me a letter in 1985 telling me how much he appreciated what I had created for the market, and it came down to just that. I thought, why are these products falling apart? Why don't they last? Why can't I do a quality paint job that's going to be there for decades? Well, it turns out that when you go and start researching what makes paint, everybody that makes paint makes it with a compromise of costing. How can they make the most money and make the paint work? What if you had the attitude, I don't care about the money that goes into it, I just want the best. I want to make the best. Well, that's how it started. I was the first in the country to use pure organic pigment. Now, what's the difference between an organic pigment and an inorganic pigment? Inorganic pigments are $20 to $25 a pound. Organic pigments, which are man-made, the cheapest are $65 a pound. And he said, nobody uses pure organic pigments. I said, why not? He said, cost factors. I'm talking to a chemist. And I said, I don't care. I want pure organic pigments. I want clean, mean colors that stand out in a crowd. And so I started painting, and I only made the paint for me. I never intended to sell a quart of it to anybody. I wanted the best for me. Other painters started coming to me and saying, John, how do I get a quart of that? How do I? So one day I'm pushing a gallon of paint across the counter, my lawyer's there, and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just selling this guy a gallon of paint. He said, you can't do that. You don't have a label on it. You don't have any warnings on it. You don't have anything. You want to get sued out of business? If you're going to be a manufacturer, you have to get a label. I'm a manufacturer? Whoa, I like the sound of that. I went out and had my first label made, 1965, and that's when it started to go. Not in the beginning. I think there was a lot of lessons learned where you could come here to this college at Pulaski and you could eliminate a lot of your errors, because that's what happens when you go to school. You learn how to cut back on your mistakes. Not that you're not going to still make them, but you're going to have a whole lot of them put aside. And just like I tell people, why does somebody go to college and he's a better businessman than me? Well, because they taught him all the pitfalls. That's what you learn in school. You know, you learn the pitfalls, what to do, what not to do. And that's why you want to go to a quality school that can give you those, eliminate those troubles. You know, like I say, there's always going to be some troubles, but that's life. Well, here's how it happened. I had a guy from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He owns a place there called ARD. And his dad came into my shop because his daughter was going to a college in my town. And he said, I've been hearing about you. I want to see what you're doing. You mind if I tour your plant? I said, no. I took him in the back, and he looked at all this paint making equipment. He said, how did you get into this? I said, well, I started out buying used equipment. I found out what I needed to make paint. I bought dissolvers. I bought traders. I bought ball mills. I bought sand mills. I had everything it took to break down the pigments. And I was doing everything in a very, very classy way. I mean, you know the scale of drawdown when you see how much shear you've got on your pigment? I wasn't satisfied till it went off the gauge. I had those pigments so mashed down they were zero out, man. You know, and sometimes that would be 90 hours in a ball mill to get a pigment to develop like that, where most companies would go half that, 40 hours, maybe 30 hours to get that development of color. But my color stood out in a crowd, and that just began it all, you know. He bought the largest order I'd ever sold at that time, and he sent it back to Tulsa, and they're selling it, and he said, man, these painters are having troubles using it, John. The jobs are messing up. He said, could you come out here and show them how to use it? I said, I'll tell you what, me and my wife got in my van, we loaded a bunch of materials in the back, I drove down to Tulsa, and we did 2 or 3 seminars there. That was 37 years ago, and that started me on how important the teaching is. It's not enough to have the best products if these guys don't know how to use it. And that's why I'm here at the college today, because we're going over a lot of the new stuff that we're doing. We're going over a lot of the techniques that the young painters don't really understand, and they're having trouble, because custom painting is a lot more complicated than average painting. You know, doing a candy paint job. I mean, how do you put a transparent color over a contrasting base and have it evenly throughout the whole car? Well, you better know what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a mess, and you're going to blow a lot of materials, and you're going to be mad. I had a painter call me up one day, and he said, I don't know how you can be allowed to sell this stuff. He said, I just did a job for my buddy, and it turned out horrible. I said, well, what's your custom painting experience? He said, I've been painting cars for 20 years. I said, that means nothing. The fact that you're a car painter does not make you a custom painter. There's a lot more to it than just putting the paint on the car on a standard finish. And I said, the fact that you didn't do any homework and you blew this job, he said, I can't talk to you. Boom, he hung the phone up on me. So some people don't get it. You know, you have to be educated in the field that you're going into, and that's what Pulaski College is all about. It's simple. Here's how it works. First coat, bottom pass. Anytime the sheet metal turns, it's a band pass. You make your pass, you do your band pass from the corner to the front. Straight line thinking, straight line thinking, straight line thinking to the next band pass. Make your band pass, re-engineer the top. Straight line thinking, band pass. Make your band pass, straight line down, and your pass along the bottom. Every time the sheet metal turns, it's a re-engineering point. Well, you know, it's really a joy to be here and see you again and see the college and how it's progressing. I think anyone that's interested in a career in this business that lives in your vicinity or even has to travel some distance to get here, it would be worth, because the equipment that you've got, the setup that you've got, the people that are designing the school and putting together the equipment, you've got the right stuff. And that's what it takes. You know, you come here, get your basics, and you have to understand, even if you go to college and you get an education and you come here and you get your education, it really begins when you get out in the field in the workaday world. That's when the real schooling begins. But now you've got the tools. You're leaving here with the tools, the basic tools of what you need to survive in the industry. And it's, you know, there's nothing that makes more joy in a man's heart than to know you did something. You took this ugly gas tank and you made a thing of beauty out of it. And that never gets old, never gets tiring. I mean, not for me, I've only been doing it 60 years this year. But I still love to make things pretty. You know, it's great fun and a great joy in being a creator and being an artist and having fun learning these new things. So a lot of places to go in the industry, and people are always going to have stuff worked on. I mean, there's a position for you out there if you want it. So come to the college and take a look, get a tour. You'll be impressed.